Okay, welcome to physics. This is a combined physics 151 and 251. Very odd thing with the numbers. Physics 151 students, all but one are female. Physics 251 students, it's two males and a female. So, if I could just get you to a swap, we would have some really odd gender separation, which I would not encourage that at all. I thought it was interesting. I will go through and do attendance every class period before we start. I'll learn all your names tomorrow. I'm down with most of you. I even know Randy's last name because I butchered it. Oh, remember in computer class? Yeah. I won't worry about taking record because we're all here. I do use Moodle a lot. This is what the Moodle page looked like a little bit ago. Then I realized that I didn't have the syllabus here, and I went to my office and updated it, so it should have the syllabus now. So the Moodle webpage, it looks different for you than for me, right? It doesn't look all this cluttered for you. But it has up here in the top course information where you can always find the syllabus if you lose yours, or the course schedule. There's two different versions of the schedule. There is this one, which is oh goodness. Okay, I'm not gonna worry about it. That schedule is the schedule that they're also in your syllabus. That tells you what I'm gonna lecture on each day and what the topic of lab is. And then there's another one here that says assignment schedule that shows you when assignments will be. So you have all of those up at the top, and then you have things like the academic integrity policy summary, how labs are graded, how I assess my teaching in the course. Textbook stuff here. Fora. Forums isn't correct, right? It's fora. But how can you change the world? The announcements needs to be moved down there. I haven't done that because I didn't think about it. Grades and attendance. Apparently I don't have attendance set up yet because that should be there. Some useful sites for you to go to, Hyperphysics is really good for physics information, and other places that might be interesting. I did not get these done. I noticed those just now and I hadn't set them up. All of my lectures, including this one, I record. What you have is this and audio. And then I upload them to YouTube. So you can always go back and say, did he really say that? Or, probably more useful. Man, it made sense when he said it. Now I don't understand this homework problem. Let me go back and see what he said. That's hopefully the way it works out. The physics problem tutorials on YouTube will also be a place where I have solutions for worksheets. So that's another one that should be useful. Perusal is a new thing that I'll get to in a little bit, but there's the link for it. I've tried to rearrange the assignments so I have all the reading assignments here and then the homework assignments and then chapter stuff, and I forgot to put the lab assignments up there, so I will change that. But just want you to know Moodle is an important thing, and you do have to do things like take quizzes before lab on Moodle. So we have our first lab tomorrow at 2 o'clock here. So by 1:55 p.m., you need to come here on Moodle, and instead of scrolling forever, I would just search for Lab 01 and go take this pre-lab quiz. So you click there to take it. It'll only give you one shot, so make sure you have your lab guide. And I say make sure you have your lab guide. None of you have a lab guide yet, right? Because I sent it to the copy center about 6 p.m. on Friday. I will let you know as soon as it's available. And if it's not available by close of the bookstore tonight, I'll send you a PDF copy of the first chapter. So you can, do the pre-lab quiz. It's kind of important. And so it's open book. It's not open friend and neighbor. So you don't ask, let's say that you are Andy. You don't ask Sarah, hey, did you get this question? Yeah. I'm not sure what the answer is. What's the answer? That would be what we consider academic dishonesty, right? It needs to be your work. But it is open book, and all the answers are quoted from the book. So it shouldn't be too difficult. The point is to make sure you know what we're doing in lab. That's the whole point of it. Okay, let's get to the actual presentation I had planned. You know, it's really hard to finish things when you just ad-lib everything. Hey, how come that didn't do the F5 function? Oh, well. Slideshow. There's something here for starting it manually. Actually, you click the button down here, huh? Get too devoted to just using one key. Okay, so introduction to the class. Textbooks. Your textbook is free, right? It's a free textbook. You can get to it. The easiest link there is openstax.org/subject/science. It's got lots of different versions. There's a Kindle version, iBooks version, a PDF version, a web version. They're all free. If you want a printed copy, you can buy a printed copy. I think with the online thing that the bookstore is using now, they're charging like $50 for a copy. You can find it for like $45 or $40 for a printed copy elsewhere. The printed copies are, by the way, good quality copies. They're not cheap, because the first time I had an online textbook and they had the option of printed copy, it was like $100 and it came out on this really thin onion skin paper. It was all black and white. And these look like textbooks. So the college physics, that's physics 151. Yes, Maxwell.
Sorry. So like I haven't bought my books yet because I'm kind of confused. So applied physics, do we not need that?
So what?
Applied physics book?
That's the book that was on NBS.
What? I've never seen that book.
Oh, that's what always ask. What is it?
What in the world is that? I have never seen that book. I was wondering why you had a textbook out here.
Yeah, I know I ordered it.
I have no idea where that came from. I'm so sorry. I know I'm laughing. I shouldn't laugh because someone's going to have to eat some money. Hopefully it's not you guys, because is it your fault? No. Max is all, yeah, that's what I get for being late.
I'm just trying to get my facts straight. We need that book, right? That's not a book we need for this.
That is not associated with this class at all. That's, well,
$6.
it's how much?
Mine was 7. It's fine. I paid $6.
$6.
Are you paying?
Oksana.
Amazon.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so for some reason, only last year was the first year that they came out with a separate textbook for 251. And you might enjoy the comedy of names. General physics uses the college physics textbook. College physics uses the university physics textbook. Nobody can agree on the names. But the university physics is broken up into 3 volumes. And so that's why there's volume 1 and volume 2. Because the stuff we're covering first semester is all volume 1 and some of volume 2. The chapters aren't even in the same order between the two, which is...
So we won't be messing with volume 2 this.
No, we will.
Oh,
It's all volume 1 and it's a little bit of volume 2. And on the syllabus, the schedule, it tells you which sections. So I'm sure glad I have this here in my presentation so we can at least get that squared away. And yeah, you should go to the bookstore and say, hey, it said this was required and the teacher said he's never seen it before. And go from there. I apologize. All right, so our textbook is free, but you can get a print copy if you desire. Laboratory guide is not free. The laboratory guide will have a cover that looks something like this. I asked for it to be green, so when it's printed, we'll see if it looks like this. They do a really good job with the copy center. It's just I haven't seen one, so I couldn't take an actual picture of it. And so that will be somewhere less than $20 in the bookstore when it's available, and I will let you know.
what's the cover look like?
Something like that, except for up at the top it says Union College, and this is just the center portion. Okay, other required resources. So the one that costs the most money each semester, the homework side is $32.50. So that's on Expert TA. There is a link in your syllabus that you can go to get registered. There is a homework assignment. The first homework assignment is due Wednesday at 11. In Moodle, it says 55 p.m. I think on the actual homework side, it's 59 p.m. The homework side is, of course, the only one that really matters for that time cutoff. So the first assignment is due at 11:59 p.m. by Wednesday. The first assignment is not a physics assignment. It is, how does this homework assignment thing work? And it asks you in some places to put in incorrect answers so you see how that works. Do it. Follow the instructions so you can see how it works. As long as you're over 80% in your final grade on it, which means you followed their instructions, then you'll get 100% for the actual grade, right? It will show you there like 87%. You'll be like, what? I did everything just like it said. But I will adjust it when I import it. Because we want you to actually see what happens when you do things wrong where it tells you to. So that's where homework is going to be. Homework is going to be every lecture where I lecture, and today it's just introduction basically, not much lecture. The following lecture period at 11:59 p.m., unless that's a Friday, there will be homework due on that material. So what I lecture on Wednesday will be due on Friday. It's midnight nominally, right? I put it before midnight so that it shows on the correct date and not the next day. It's not only midnight except for on Fridays where I put it before sundown. And I would have to look at the schedule. On your schedule here, if you look at the assignment schedule, it tells you the Friday time. So the homework based on Wednesday's lecture is due at 7:55 p.m. on Friday. So basically, next class period after a lecture where I lecture, there'll be a homework assignment on that material, plus some space learning, we call it, questions from older material just to review it. So that means 3 homework assignments a week, plus that lab quiz I already talked about every week. Also, there will be lab write-ups that are due every week. Lots of assignments. That's why I have the homework assignment to keep you up to date on that. Okay, next we have perusal. Now, perusal, this is the first time I've used it. It's the latest in physics pedagogy. It's another grand idea of Eric Major from Harvard. He's a physics professor there. And this is taking the place of what I've done before for reading quizzes. This is a reading assignment. The point of these, by the way, free. Perusal is also free. Oddly enough, they try to encourage us to go ahead and charge you $10 anyway. The way they make their money is renting textbooks. And this is a free textbook, and they're like, but if you want, you can charge them $10 to give us for using the service. And I figure let places like Harvard that have endowments so they wouldn't need to ever charge tuition except for they can, let them pay. So what this is it has already the textbooks uploaded there, and it has reading assignments. So for instance, for next Wednesday before class, that means it's due at 10:55, you'll need to go to this website, and it'll have assignment 1. Andy, it said that you left a message or comment. I couldn't find it. That's how well I know this site. But it will have assignment 1. And assignment 1 will be to make at least 7 comments about the material that's going to be covered in class. And the first assignment is actually chapter 1 through 2.3. And you're graded automatically. I don't know what the mechanism for grading, it's some secret, but it's grading the quality of your comments or your answers. And it grades the top 7. So you have to make 7 comments. It also grades on how spread out they are. If you answer all of them from the first page and don't have any from the rest of the pages, it'll lower your grade. But if you're spread out throughout the section, then you'll get a higher grade. And so if you answered 20, you would be assured of a very high grade, because out of 20, you've got to have at least 7 of them that are very highly scored. If you answer 7, you still might have a good grade. For the first assignment, I was trying to test it out, figure out how it works. So I made accounts for my wife and my son, and I tried to put in what I thought were good questions and answers from one of them, what I thought were poor questions and answers for the other. And the one that I thought had good questions and answers was higher graded, but the difference wasn't that big. So I haven't figured it out exactly. But the point here is to make sure that you have read over the material and have some idea of what we're going to be doing before you come to class, so that when I lecture in class, what I say can make more sense, fits in. And if there's something you didn't understand, well, I'm going to look through the comments to look for things people are like, I totally didn't understand this part. What in the world's going on? So I can, speak to that. But also, you know what to ask me questions about. Like, I didn't understand this part. Can you explain what was really going on there? That's the point of it. So once again, free. I really am trying to keep the expenses down. With my son being a sophomore now, I'm understanding more and more just how expensive it can be. How much was that book you didn't buy, Max?
$150.
Or 6? Which once again is part of what chaps my hide about book prices. Okay, class times. We have class Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 11 a.m. right here. You all figured that out. We have, for the calculus-based students, an additional lecture period at 11:30 on Tuesday right here. That used to be after chapel, but chapel this year has moved to Thursday. They have another name for it, but it's still chapel, right? So we stayed on Tuesday, and then laboratory every Tuesday afternoon at 2 p.m. right here. And so before lab, you need your pre-lab quizzes. Before lectures, except for you don't have to do this on Tuesday lectures, 251 people. Before lectures, actually I say that. That's what I've done in the past. I was contemplating. Anyway, we might add it in, we might not. Before class, you go to the perusal, and the idea is just to make sure you've read the textbook. And obviously, everything should have a goal in the class, right? There should be no busy work. It's all for learning purposes. Agree? So, my objectives for this course. I, of course, love physics. I think it's super interesting. One of the important things for anyone who is studying sciences is curiosity. Something that really slays me is when I go to anywhere, and the kids asking their parents why, and the parents get upset and say, stop asking, be quiet, That's what science is all about, is that spirit of curiosity. They're just killing the little scientists and the kids, when instead of doing things like saying, well, let's research that, or give them an answer if they're lazy, which most of us are, let's be honest. Or doing something to reward that curiosity, they're just killing it. We need that curiosity. And in developing that curiosity, I want to make sure that you understand the scientific method. Our lab, and I know this is the least popular thing in the lab, and yet I think it's a very valuable thing, has a scientific method application from almost all the labs. And it starts with you have to make an observation. So for the lab for tomorrow, your observation has to be on something falling. My roommate woke up to his alarm and he was startled and he slammed out and the alarm clock fell on the ground and broke. Whatever. Something that has to do with falling. And so you have to write down your observation. And then you have the next step is in the scientific method, and you'll find different variations on it. This is what we're working with, a very simplified version. You need a hypothesis that has 3 properties. Number 1 is it has to explain why the observation occurred. Number 2 is it has to be based on scientific ideas. Can't be based on because that's the way I think it is. And number 3, what's it?
Hypothesis.
Number 3 is it has to make testable predictions. Now, predictions is something else. Your prediction isn't going to be, and I predicted if my roommate knocks the clock off of his bedside stand, it's going to fall and hit the ground, right? You've already observed that. That's not some prediction. You've already seen it. So it needs to predict something else that you could test that could potentially disprove it. If your hypothesis doesn't make a prediction that could be disproven, then it's not scientific, right? If you can't disprove something, it takes it away from the realm of science and puts it more in the realm of, religion or philosophy. And so you might hear people argue that, creationism isn't science. Well, we can't test a miracle, right? So yeah, it's not science. It doesn't mean anything about its validity, right? It doesn't have to be scientific to be valid, but it has to be testable to be valid. So you have to make a hypothesis that explains why whatever you saw happened. So, my roommate's alarm clock fell because it was being accelerated by gravity. Okay, so that's a hypothesis. And then it needs to make, it's based on gravity, it's based on a scientific knowledge we already have. And then we need to be able to make predictions from it. And so gravity is acceleration, and if something's accelerating, that means the speed is changing every second, so it's going faster and faster. And so it needs to make a prediction for this lab. It's very specific what the prediction is. It has to predict the time for it to fall 1 meter versus for it to fall 2 meters. And so you have to be able to make predictions from it. And then we just have a third step in our very simplified process, and that is to actually conduct a test that could potentially disprove the hypothesis. So we're going to be going through that every lab period. And, especially the first one, you'll probably spend more time on that than you will on the actual lab, just trying to figure out how does this all fit together. But my goal is for you to understand the scientific method, because that's what science is based on. Everything that we learn in science is based on that process. Okay, then we have mechanics. Mechanics is understanding how things move and fit together, work, energy, force. Randy, I know you're taking the statics class right now, right? And so that's mechanics. Next semester, you'll be taking dynamics. That's also mechanics. So we're going to be studying mechanics. We'll be starting with kinematics, which is talking about how things move. And then, by the way, this statics class, for some reason, physicists don't take statics. I don't know why, because statics is just start with dynamics, which is moving things. Kinematics is how things move. Dynamics is why they move. So we're going to be covering those for at least half of the semester here. Yeah, I say just those. There's a whole lot in just those. It's not, it's not like we should cover that in 2 weeks. Are you kidding me? Okay, then we're going to get to thermodynamics. Thermodynamics is talking about concepts of what's going on at the microscopic level by making macroscopic measurements. You have molecules that are flying around this room all over the place. And we can't track each one of those molecules. So what we do is we make macroscopic measurements to tell us about what's happening. So we measure the temperature, which is a measurement that's telling us about the average kinetic energy of the molecules in the air. So if the temperature is higher, molecules have a higher kinetic energy, they're moving faster. Temperature is lower, they're moving more slowly. Most people have no concept that that's what temperature means. And then we'll learn about heat, transfer of energy. Of course, we have to know what energy is for that to make much sense. And you have some of you might have a good understanding of what energy is, but most people come in with just a very superficial understanding of what energy is, and we'll learn about that more carefully. Then we're going to go to waves. And so we will study just sound waves. And I love sound waves, and I always spend too much time in the other things and have so little time, because there's so much good music theory and stuff that is obviously physics. And then I hope that you recognize for this class the benefits of science to society. From things like, our cell phones. We use those all the stinking time. Now, I'm not convinced it's benefiting us, because if you look at the world today, people can't be friends with other people because they have a different opinion. And that comes largely from our mass communication with electronics, and it drives me crazy. You can believe something completely different from me, and we can still be friends. But I hope you recognize and perceive how science really does benefit society. Academic integrity. My basic thing is don't cheat. Thankfully, I'm no longer the chair of the Academic Integrity Committee. I've had a lot of not fun things to do with that. It's important to make sure you understand what is and what is not considered cheating in a given class, because there's differences from one teacher to another. So, you have homework that's due 3 times a week. And that homework is going to take you some time, right? It's not going to be 15 minutes and I'm done. I'm the first one yet. But after that, no. And so what is cheating? What's not cheating? Well, first, our homework site has its own little disclaimer on cheating. If you are taking your questions and posting them to internet, you can go to Quora or Yahoo or, there's a bunch of places where people will put homework questions up there. That's cheating, right? You didn't solve anything. You just crowdsourced your answers. The goal is for you to learn, not for somebody else to know the answer for you. So if you get caught doing that by the website that the homework is, they will ban you from the homework site, and I will give you 0 for all homework assignments if you get banned from the homework site. So that's my push on, don't be doing that. But at the same time, and I always have to mention Chegg, because a lot of people don't realize that Chegg is a major cheating site. If you have a solution manual for a class and they're using that, that's cheating. There's no 2 ways around in any class that's going to be considered cheating. And probably about at least a third, if not half, of the academic integrity issues I had to deal with came from people using Chegg. It gave you the solution manual. I figured that must be okay. No, Chegg is evil. It might be a cheap place to get your textbooks, and then they give you access to the solution manual. If you've got your textbooks from Chegg, so be it. Don't be going to the solution manual and cheating, right? So just because you're using Chegg doesn't mean you're cheating. But if you're using the solution manual, that would be. Now, if you're using the solution manual for setting problems that are not homework assignment, that's fine. If it's a homework assignment problem, you use the solution manual. Okay, other things that are probably more iffy in people's minds, with this homework, the people in Physics 151 will all have the same problems. Physics 251 people will all have the same problems. There'll be a strong overlap between them. And so you're working on a problem, you're like, I totally can't figure this out. Well, what's your first thing if you can't figure it out? Call a friend. That's legit, okay? Research. You should not sit there and say, well, I'm going to work on this problem for 2 hours if I don't get it. Right? That's not a good use of your time. So you do want to use resources to help you understand, not to copy from, but to help you understand. And so, of course, I hope that one of the first things you do is you contact me. Come visit me in my office. I have posted office hours there in the syllabus. There's a lot of time it shows it's free because through odd coincidences, this is the only class I'm teaching this semester. But I am doing some other work for the college that will be taking more time. I just didn't allocate it on there. So what shows is blank. I may or may not be in my office. I may or may not be working on something else. But if you ever see me at my office, feel free to drop in, right? Because my first priority is always helping students. At least that's what it always is, unless somebody says, this must be done in 3 hours or you're fired, So if you see me in my office, don't hesitate. You could call a friend. Mr. Chapman here, his father teaches topics like this, so he probably has a good handle, I hope, I'm guessing. He's, of course, right now filled with hate and anger at me, but he's like, hey, David, I can't figure this out. Can you help me out? David does not just show you his solution and say, here you go. David says either yes or no, and then explains to you how it works. That is great. That's helping you learn. And that's also helping David. Because, I learned this the hard way. When I thought I understood something, I could work out problems, and then somebody asked me, why did you do that? And I'm like, I don't know. I just did. It seemed right. having to explain to somebody helps you to understand better what you are doing and thinking through as you're solving. So I encourage people to work together. You should always at least try your problems on your own. Don't just get, okay, number 5, how do you start that? Try it on your own first. But working with somebody else is perfectly acceptable and encouraged for homework. For labs, you're going to be working together with a partner. You and your partner should work together so you have the same observation, hypothesis, and test, because after all, you're going to be doing the test together. And then you're going to be doing the lab together. So work together, that's expected. At the same time, not copy. You don't have, okay, I'm trying to figure out who else I can use. I've used just about all the names. But you don't have Oksana do all the calculations and then you just copy them down. You do your calculations, she does them. You can compare. You don't use Oksana's answers for the questions, you do your own. Okay, yes, I probably went on that too long. Teacher, I taught. Classroom decorum, how to behave in class. So first, come on time. I will take record in class, every class period. And if you're here by the time class starts, you get 3 points in attendance. If you are tardy, but within 5 minutes, you get 2 points. And if you're if you're more than 5 minutes late, or if you are gone for stretches of class, like I have had students go to the cafeteria, buy food, and come back in the middle of class. If you do something like that, or if you're sitting on your phone during class, or working on another class during class, then you get only 1 point. And at the end of the semester, if you have missed no more than 3 days worth of credit, which would be 9 points lost, then I give you a big 2-point jump in your overall grade. If you miss more than that, you don't get it. It's not scaled. It's just a get it or don't get it. That's my only version of effort points. Everything else is based on what you've done. So come on time, pay attention. It doesn't help you to be here and not pay attention. The goal of class is for it to be a learning experience. And so I think it's pretty obvious. Don't be texting or working on other classes. Don't make excessive noise or walk in or out of the classroom. Sometimes you just got to go to the bathroom. Sometimes, I've had people tell me, there's an illness in the family and I might get a phone call from my mom. Great, And if you do, go out, answer the phone, whatever. But, don't just be walking in and out, go talk to somebody in the hallway so we can all hear you. I think all those stand. Things that your grade are based upon. Things that your grade is based upon. Okay. So worksheets are not a part of your grade. Last year, Ryan said, hey, something to make this class better if we had worksheets for each chapter. And so I will make worksheets for every chapter. Except for chapter 1. The worksheets will have, the top section will be just rote knowledge things. Like, what does this mean? Fill in the blanks is what they all will be. And so it's just stuff that you should know. And then it will have 1 or 2 problems worked out, problems that are the synthesis type problem generally, to help you get some practice. And I will post on YouTube a video solving the problems so you can see solutions to those as well. And those are there to help you prepare for the test. And so I don't copy and paste it all from these, but I do lean on the worksheets for building the test. So it's not part of your grade, but it'll help you for preparing for the test. Reading assignments, that perusal, it's 10% of your grade. And remember I said for each assignment, you have to have 7 comments. It could be either in response to somebody else's comment or a new comment material. Obviously, the first person is always new comment. And it's due by 5 minutes before class. If you don't get it done on time, you can come in for the next 12 hours and make comments and put answers in, but you get a decreasing amount of credit for those. So if you do them all beforehand, you'll get a better grade than if you do them all afterward. Of course, the point being that you're prepared before class, not after class you're prepared. Yeah?
It does already have some prompt comments in there. So
only for the first one because
Okay.
I made the 3 different accounts and was playing with it. Honestly, I couldn't figure out how to delete them. I was like, well, let's show students how it works. except for some of my comments are kind of inane. Sorry about that. I wasn't thinking anyone would see them.
I thought it was helpful because if you like don't really know how to respond to something, it's easier to respond to like something already there.
I'm sorry. I mean, you explained the perusal, like, I think already, but I kind of don't get it that well. So like, we're just gonna have.
Okay, so perusal. Okay, one thing that's important I didn't say for perusal, and actually I have a picture of this coming up, but you want to go to Moodle where it has perusal there at the very bottom of the top section, and click on that link for perusal, and that will log you in to the perusal website. And then if you go there right now, so I'm coming back here so I can look at Max's screen.
I'm on it, but I just don't remember.
Okay, so you should have, where's assignments? Okay, when I looked at it as a student, I saw assignments. Look on my score, see what that.
Oh, my score.
Okay, actually, yeah. This here is the first one. Download my counselor. Okay, so click on there and click on assignments. Okay, so if you click on the class thing and then click on assignments, it shows you the assignments. Not yet open. I thought that would be open by now. But you click there to work on assignment. Okay, yes.
Do you go to get started and then like do anything, or do you just go straight to assignment? And then So all of that has to be done by Wednesday, and then the other one
And that's
is for Friday. But can we go ahead and like work on it, or do you want us to like wait until after?
I believe I have it set up so they won't open until after class is over.
Okay, and then for this expert TA one, do we have to already log in, or?
Okay, yeah, so with the expert TA, yeah, I got scrapbook. Let me go over these because I have more coming up on it. So we have the scrapbook. There's instructions in the lab guide on the scrapbook. You have different installments for it. The goal here is to find something in physics that you see elsewhere that interests you. This one is what we're talking about. Laboratory is the biggest part of your grade other than exams. It's 1/4 of our credit, hence 1/4 of our grade. The percentage is going to be asked 10, 10, 15, 25, and then exams 40%. Let's go to the individual things. So perusal, this red P here, it has all the assignments listed. You click this assignment, it will bring you to a link that says do it on perusal, but when you click that link, it brought up a pop-up window, at least that's what it did for me. Do you want to open it? When I said I want to open it, it took me there, and if I wasn't logged in, it didn't work. If I was logged in, it did. So that was a little problematic. But if you do this one, it'll bring you to this, and notice the assignments tab is the one you need to be in, and it shows you the assignments. And while it only shows 2 there, I think that's based on when they're due. All of the assignments for the semester are already in there. So that's the perusal. The scrapbook, you have these 5 things that need to be there. Media. The media is generally going to be a picture. The source, that's the reference where you find it, usually URL, because, hey, let's face it, we're the internet age here. Interest is why you found this interesting. Textbook is what the textbook says about this topic. It doesn't have to be a quote, it can be a paraphrase, but you want to say, the textbook says this about this topic, and give the section and figure numbers associated. And then relevance is, how does this relate to what we've talked about in class? Make sure you have headings so it's easy to see what you're answering, right? If you don't have headings, I might miss it. And it's due in segments, so the first 5 entries are September 16. My goal is for everybody to once a week sit down and do 1 or 2 rather than wait until the night before it's due and do all 5. It'll be a lot more fun and easy if you don't wait to the last second. Okay, the homework and expert TA. First thing is there's a 14-day trial. That's a free trial. So I encourage you to go ahead and sign up now with the free trial. At the end of the 14 days, you won't be able to use it until you pay. and you can't pay until the end of the 14 days, unless you start without the free trial. So to pay for it, if you have a credit card or a debit card, that's the anticipated way. In the past, the bookstore has allowed people to make a charge to their college account through the bookstore, and then the bookstore use their credit card. But I think they charge a little bit of a fee for that now. So that's something you don't have to pay right now. You can wait 14 days, but there is a $32.50 fee. And homework assignment 1 is already there. So you click on it, you answer the questions. Yeah.
Login, what do we use? Yeah, like where do you
Okay.
go to start?
Okay, so the first time only use the link that's given in the syllabus.
Yeah, I didn't. It took me to this.
Takes me
I
from
used-
there.
Yeah, because when I I went from Moodle and then
Yeah, not there.
right.
Right, that's what you use every time after the first time.
Wait.
So you use the extra tier registration, right?
Yeah, the one that
I'm sorry, guys.
you're in a different class than she is, but for her it's is.gd/KS12 capital H lowercase m. Use that one.
Okay.
And then every time thereafter, what you did is what you use.
Okay.
All right, and if you have questions about that after class, we'll work it through. I've already spent all but 10 minutes. Lab, you have the pre-lab quiz. You have a pre-lab quiz. It's already on Moodle for lab tomorrow. As I said, if the lab books aren't available in the bookstore before close the bookstore today, I'll email you what you need to do that. The lab report, you need to scan it to PDF. You can use any paper you want for your lab report. You can type it if you like. But you have until midnight on Thursday following the lab. So lab's on Tuesday. You have basically a day and a half to get it uploaded to Moodle as a PDF document. The exams are broken up into 4 sections, 3 for credit, 1 that's extra credit. You have the knowledge section. If you follow Bloom's taxonomy, anybody here taking education courses? No? I did when I was an undergraduate. And this is one of the things that stuck with me was the different levels of learning. And so the lowest level, basic knowledge. You have basic knowledge. And so you have about 10 questions that are just basic knowledge. Those are going to be multiple choice or matching. And it says are true false, but I don't think I've ever asked a true false. And those are worth 25% of your grade. Those are just right or wrong. There's no gray area, no funny grading. Application is multiple choice questions that require some work. They're one-step problems, but they require some work. And those are, again, just going to be multiple choices of rated right and wrong. There's no partial scoring. I will give you 6 questions, and you have to answer 5. You have to mark which one you're not answering, or else I'm just going to take the last one as the one that doesn't count. Right? So if you just have answers for all 6, and nothing marked to say, this is the one that doesn't count, then the last one will be the one that doesn't count. I want to make sure it's clear. People don't say, well, I got 5 out of 6. Right? Mark which one you don't want to count. Synthesis, likewise, I'll have 4 questions, and you have to answer 3 of them and mark out the one you're not doing. Synthesis ones are multi-step problems that require you to do what physics is really about. Physics is about analyzing and figuring how different ideas fit together to explain how something is happening. And so the synthesis problem are going to require you to fit things together. Now, physics questions in general should not be like any other question you've ever seen. Right? It's not a math class where, look, I did an integral before and now I'm doing another integral of similar fashion. That's not what we do in physics. It's about critical thinking. In fact, some of you might be pre-dent. We asked at a conference, why do you require pre-dental students to take physics? It's really not a significant portion of anything they're doing in dental school. They said it's because of the critical thinking skills that you have to learn in physics that we require. But it's not for the physics knowledge itself, it's for the thinking skills you need to develop. It's different from most of your other science classes, although a good chemistry class should also. So the synthesis problems are requiring you to show that critical thinking. Then MCAT, I'm just going to put 3 questions that are taken from MCAT review sources that are on the topics, and those just be extra credit, 2 points each. So that's what the exams will be. There are 4. I decided instead of calling them midterm exams like I always have, to call them interim exam, because some people think midterm means at the middle. That's never been my interpretation. So you have these 4 exams spread throughout the semester plus the final exam. All of them are weighted equally, and the top 4 out of 5 are going to count toward your grade. So if you do really well in the first 4 exams, there's no point in taking the 5th exam, the final exam. But if you have one exam in the first 4 that you really tanked, there's probably a really good reason to take the final exam. And the exams are spaced. The final exam has very little new material. The final exam is cumulative testing over everything. So I figure if you scored really well over the first 4, you already know all the material, not a big point. That's why I allow you to drop the final. Okay.
We'll let you know which exam we're dropping.
No, it'll just be whichever one benefits you the best. Okay, expectations. Read material before you come to class. Be on time, pay attention. Ask questions if they're relevant. It's a serious thing. I had a student once in the middle of a test ask me about something that was physics completely unrelated to that semester's physics. Right, now that's an extreme case because that was on a stinking test. But we want to keep things relevant. Remember that learning is more important than the grade. Right? If you're learning material, if you're prepared, let's say you're pre-med, if you're prepared for the MCAT, well, that's kind of your goal, really, isn't it? It's to be prepared to learn stuff. But we do want good grades. Just to read the class schedule, you have here every day that we have class, the material that is going to be covered in class. Really, I'm going to talk about that in lab tomorrow. And then over here, what we're doing in lab on Tuesdays. If there's a vacation day like September 2, no class, yay. That is Labor Day, right? I got that right. Okay. I'd be really embarrassed if I had Labor Day wrong. The days that we have exams. Then the homework schedule, it tells you when each homework thing is. Remember with the lab, there is a lab quiz on the Tuesday shown, and the lab is due on Thursday. So there's 2 assignments associated with that. And now pull out your cell phone or your laptop, whichever makes you happy, and go to this URL, which you can get to by scanning this QR code. And as you're, well, I see people with the cameras out taking pictures, so I won't shift screens in the middle of your picture. Okay. Shh. All right. So we have 8 people. We're missing 4. 9, 10, 11. All but 1.
Hold on, it's me.
Oh, I got a message.
Yeah.
It's lit. I bet you that came from Oksana.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
How do you put the name then?
I don't know. Now I've got to go back and go back to the presentation. Uh-oh. 2 people are confused. Excellent. I wonder I should have not come to the wall there because I don't know how to move to the next
How do
screen.
you put your name in?
Okay, I had never hit that before. I feel like a genius right about now that I can't figure out myself how to get on with it.
How come I'm not in there?
Okay, here we are. That, I think, got us back to it. No, come on. This is embarrassing.
It's not like, it's the green button.
Yes, the green
thing.
button.
It's a message thing?
Yeah.
It's
Yes, but
just
the-
on- Oh, okay.
Oh, look, now it signed me out. It worked really well if I didn't do that. If I hadn't been a genius. I'm going to gonna blame Oksana for putting in a comment and making me click. We got 1 minute now for the.
There's a lot of people who's coming.
Yes, yes.
Not just on
Okay. Hopefully this doesn't disconnect you all, but it probably will.
Oh, no, I'm just kidding.
Shush. Okay. Nope, you're all still there. Good. So here's our first question. Which are the best evenings for tutoring? DJ here is going to be attending classes on Friday and then providing tutoring opportunities for you. And so your options are Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Not Friday, obviously.
And what time is it?
Haven't determined a time yet. Just looking for the dates first, or the days of the week. Yeah, this and answer all. It's a poll question to figure out when he's going to do tutoring.
So which is best for you?
So which is best for you? And like if Sunday, Monday, and Wednesday are best, click Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, and submit. Shoot, my time's up.
10, 9, 7, 5.
Okay, well, wow, there was no clear winner there.
Not like Wednesday.
Here's a bug. Those two things are on top of each other.
Sunday.
That was special. I am totally going to have to end class here. But so all the questions after this are questions about the syllabus. But this is important to me. Why are you taking this class? I thought you'd say, oh my gosh, I know this answer. Yes. That's Michael McCarthy. He's now at the Mayo Clinic. And that's Dr. Kruger. She's the daughter-in-law of the people for whom this building is named. Yeah.
So I tried to that
Your email address is
and my email address is not. 'Cause I'm not registered for the course. I don't know what that
No,
is,
no.
but.
I need to go put in. Use your junior college email addresses. I did not set that up.
Okay.
Let me do mine.
Let you do yours?
But it won't let me do mine.
I'll.
Okay.
Is that XRTA?
Yeah.
Yeah, it won't, it's not
I was
working.
gonna ask about that.
Okay. Have a great day, everyone. Our results on this were pre-med was biggest because I love understanding how things work. I love whoever you five are.